Okay, Amanda, you were nominated for a 2023 Rising Phoenix Award, and I'm super glad you decided to accept the nomination. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So this is a pretty simple process. Let's just explore where you've been first. I know that from the intake form that you've been through some pretty tough stuff. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your experiences with us?
Yeah. So I have experienced some mental health challenges that kind of came up around the end of middle school that I was trying to sort through. And I I didn't really have people who were talking about a lot of those mental health challenges at that time. And so I come from a family that has mental illness that kind of runs through it.
Hmm.
And so it was there, but never really talked about. And so mental health has kind of been at the root of a lot of the things that I have dealt with. But as I've been moving further into adulthood, they've been moving into physical health conditions.
Okay.
So I recently got the diagnosis of fibromyalgia after probably 15 years of searching for answers, what was going
Mm.
on. I've had pain my entire life, physical pain. And we went to doctors. They always said, it's probably growing pains, continued throughout adulthood, had x-rays and MRIs and all of these different things and no answers. And I finally found out that it was fibromyalgia, which if you're unfamiliar with it, it's basically a disorder of the central nervous system. So it's like all of my pain signals are amplified.
Okay.
So that paired with the mental health challenges, it's kind of this perfect storm of like when tough things are happening, my body decides to just shut down.
Ooh, not good, right?
uh, yeah, and so there's different flares and different things, but in exploring the diagnosis, I've had significantly more challenges with um, doctors taking me seriously, people taking me seriously, because when you appear healthy and you have all these things that are seemingly self-reported, it's very easy to not be taken seriously.
Yeah, right.
Um, and so I've had a lot of challenges with that, especially with I had a medication that they wanted to try me on, and it went very, very poorly.
Oh,
And it was a mental health medication that they were using in a pain clinic, but were not monitoring the mental health side effects of it.
oh
So
no.
that I ended up being manic for the first time in my life, had no idea. And this was all during graduate school. So I'm still
Oh
trying
man.
to go to school and appear normal, and all of these things are chaos. And they eventually increased my dosage of that medication, and I disassociated for
Oh wow.
4 days. I didn't feel real, and they took me off the medication, and I ended up having basically a movement disorder that kind
Okay.
of came about that was undiagnosed, but I was tested for seizures several times, brain MRIs, all of these different things, and everything came back totally normal. Um, so it's been this kind of like mental storm of trying to validate myself and what is going on while
Mhm.
you're continuously getting all of these like negative results and all of these things and all of these
Right.
doctors saying I have no idea how to help you. uh,
Right.
so that's kind of the long story short version
Oh man,
of
that's so
kind
hard.
of what's been going on. It's been amazing, and I actually am getting my gallbladder taken out on Friday.
Okay.
And it's scary, but it's the first time I've had something validatingly wrong with me.
Something they could prove, and yeah.
Yeah, like that they're going to take something out of me that has been causing a problem when I can't even on x-rays or anything find a problem. I had gone to the ER a couple times for pain with this, and they didn't know what it was, and they sent me home. They told me there was nothing wrong. And so I
Hmm.
again thought um that it was just my fibromyalgia stuff, my pain signals, my body kind of taking over. And thankfully, after doing a couple CT scans and ultrasounds, they were able to find a gallstone. So, as crazy as it sounds, I'm actually looking forward to getting to see a gallstone taken is a validating thing. But yeah, that's
Oh
kind of
man.
the overarching theme of kind of what my life has looked like in the
Well,
past
that's
couple.
that's so hard. And you're at the age you're at now, you've been dealing with this for some time.
Yeah, I believe that I've had back pain since I was about 5 years old. So I've kind of
Wow.
not really known what not being in pain looks like.
Yeah. And what's the impact been to you for the rest of your life, right? Obviously you're in pain. Obviously there's constantly something that's not right, and yet
Right.
you still have to carry on as if everything's okay.
Right. And for a while, I just, it was a thing that was kind of in the background. I was like, I'd have people rub my back. I would, manage these things and it was okay. But as my mental health got worse and as I got more burned out and all these extra, responsibilities of being a young adult and figuring out how you're supposed to like be an adult,
Right.
um, I have realized that the world is not set up for people who are dealing with situations like myself. um Thankfully it's gotten a lot better towards disability things and things that of getting accessibility for if you're blind or deaf or if you're have a wheelchair, but there isn't a lot that I have been aware of for people who are young and in their 20s who are now dealing with a body that's changing and not in a good way.
Right.
um, so a lot of the perspectives of people that I've been around are very bad.
Yeah.
And just the world in general is not set up for it. So I'm a painter
Hmm.
and there are not accessible painting tools. Those don't exist.
Right.
Um, and if they do exist, they're for kids, they're not for professionals.
Right.
And so me and my family have been working on developing how to make it so that I can paint and not, um, you know, be on the floor for the next 6 hours by painting for 2 hours.
Right.
So it's kind of changed the whole way that I've looked at my life in the past couple of years because, you know, doctors and other people just tell me, stop painting. And to me, that like it hasn't even crossed my brain. I'm like,
Right.
why would I do that?
Don't you tell me to stop breathing, right?
Right. And that's basically what I've been like, art has been the thing that's kept me going my entire life. That I'm like,
Right.
I figured it out every step of the way. So it's just adapting and figuring out what that looks like. But it means that my schedule looks different than other people. And that is a whole other mental game that you play with yourself of,
Hmm.
knowing that you're capable of these things, but it not being worth it to have your body like you know protest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, so if I follow the arc of that of your story, right? You've been through all of this pain. You've got the mental illness issues. You've got the
Yeah.
physical illness issues, and then you've got this one thing that gives you life. That's your painting, and you're really freaking good at it, from what I hear. And then you're being told just to stop doing that because it's causing
Yes.
you pain. So that's really important. And then to be able to figure out how to get past that and to be able to continue doing what you love is especially when you're not getting any help, is a really big deal. It Just say a
Yeah.
little bit about that process and what that's been like.
Yeah. So I in undergrad, I, just was kind of in the mode of, and even before that in high school, it was, kind of in survival mode. It's, this is, especially with the mental health challenges, and I had been bullied my entire time growing up for various reasons. And so I've kind of always been in survival mode. I'm like, well, it's fine. I'll just, I'll do it. I'll do all the things. And I was burning myself out
Hmm.
so bad. And so I was burning myself out to just be able to do the thing that I continued to love to do.
Hmm.
So I've had to adapt in a lot of those ways, especially moving through graduate school, of advocating for what I need, because I realized that I was still advocating for myself in a way that looked like burnout. I was still like, these problems also aren't within me, they're within everybody else of how they're dealing with things, which is partially true. There's some truth to that, but I realized that like I had to do a lot of self-discovery of like, what does this look like in a healthy practice for me? Thankfully, within the past week or two, and that means very recent, I've started to get to those places. But it's been a whole process of changing perspectives of how we look at what is productive and like what is your worth. So it's not necessarily in how much you can produce, but some of the impacts you're having.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, I've always kind of made art that has focused within identity, specifically my own, but how these different aspects affect my identity. So for a while, I was making work about the people in my life that were impacting my identity and how they were shaping me. And then it transitioned much more to like societal impacts and interpersonal things, along with a lot of things based around mental health,
Mm-hmm.
and how these different things affect your view of yourself and your view of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I've moved into graduate school, I've been making work specifically about my relationship with my body and others within fibromyalgia.
Mm-hmm.
And that work is for creating bonds of empathy between people, because I think we're always in this mode of like asking people how they are without really listening. So like when you start a conversation and people are like, "Oh, how are you?" I mean, when you asked me today, I said hanging in there. Like, it's I tried to be genuine with my answers because we're always in this mode of like formalities and not actually like paying attention to what is going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And so people are always in the mode of, like keeping their battles hidden. And I don't want to do that because
Yeah.
it's so lonely.
Yeah.
And like the more that I've been talking about like fibromyalgia and these mystery diagnoses, and how the world's not quite set up for these things, or making these situations less scary, the more people that I have found being like, oh, like I've been put on all of these things and not taken seriously, and I've been treated like that. And it's like I'm trying with my work to make artwork more accessible and these ideas more accessible,
Mm-hmm.
because it can happen to anybody at any point. Something medically or mentally can go wrong.
Yeah.
And we are like we're not set up to be able to take care of ourselves to do that.
No, we're not.
And even, going through therapy for years and doing all these things, I'm still not set up to be able to do that. And so through my art, I've been able to um like build that kind of connection base and have these conversations with people. So now more people that I've been talking to are exploring therapy and are, having these conversations about taking their loved ones seriously when they say that they've got these issues. And to me, that's been really powerful of like seeing those small incremental impacts of how people are shifting their ideas surrounding that, because ultimately that's helped how I've been able to get through school and how I've been able to
Right.
get through life. Of like, if you're not aware of the challenges that people have, then you have no idea how to help them.
Mm-mm.
So that's a lot of what my graduate work is about right now, of like kind of taking down a lot of those stigmas around all of these things of like we just need to seem like we're perfect and we're fine all the time and just don't ask questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Authenticity can be kind of hard to come by sometimes, and
Yeah.
to be able to observe, right? Somebody who's living authentically makes a really big difference. You're leading by example kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And that's what kind of my hope is, to
yeah.
change these perspectives. I hope to do things big, but also like on a smaller level of just having more conversations with people about what this stuff looks like. Like I look perfectly healthy, but I mean, as we're talking, like my shoulder right here is in so much pain, but no
Mm,
one would know that.
right.
And so it's just things that I deal with on an everyday basis that like they have no idea that like the things that they can do perfectly normal in their day take every ounce of energy that I have just to exist.
Yeah. Yeah. That's hard. And you're right. I think a lot of people are just so wrapped up in themselves and all the stuff that's on their to-do list that they don't really have time, or they don't have the interest, or they don't have the compassion or something. They lack something that allows them to really connect on a real level. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of like you. I'd really rather have real conversations than just kind of
Yeah.
swim in the surface.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely where I'm at. So,
So you're doing the work. I mean, and the art that you're doing is clearly has some real deep meaning. And people who are watching you, people who are observing you, people who are taking the time to connect with you, people who are seeing your work can benefit from you just so much. But if and in the best world, as you move forward, what do you see happening with your art? What do you want to do to get this out
Yeah.
there for people to?
So ideally, I for the past 2 years have worked with the Toledo Arts Commission as an instructor for the Young Artists at Work program.
Mhm.
I was in that program when I was 14 years old. It's for youth from 14 to 18, and it employs them for the summer, gives them a job, pays them. We teach them professionalism skills and art skills, and amazingly, also emotional intelligence skills. So we do personal art projects with them and then also work for the city. So public art pieces and stuff like that. And being an instructor for the past 2 years has been life-changing for me because ideally what I would love to do with my work is do my own studio practice, do exhibitions, sell paintings, being able to do that, share my art with the world. But to me, art has to live outside of your studio. Otherwise, it's only for yourself, which is
Right.
totally
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
But for especially the work that I'm doing, that I'm trying to change these perspectives, it has to live outside of my studio. So,
Hmm.
um, continuing to do exhibitions and stuff like that, and talking with people. But part of that too is I would like to work within community mentorship, community programs, nonprofits, like the work that I've been doing. Um, because there's just so much that you can do with it. And I have gotten to lead two amazing teams over the past 2 years, and I'm hoping to work with them again this year, potentially within more of a leadership position, taking care of the teachers and stuff like that, if all goes well. But um, being able to teach people how to live sustainably as artists,
Hmm.
so impactful, because also not even if they just pursue art further on, because some of them will, some of them won't. Some people who come into the program are just people who don't have art at their schools and just want, something else, or, they're trying to stay out of trouble. But having creative skills, having skills to be able to take care of yourself. Like, I was never taught that you're not supposed to like hunch over while you're painting, and you're
Hmm.
not supposed to hold the same paintbrush for 3 hours. Otherwise your hands are going to stop working. Like, it's simple things like that that no one ever taught me. And no one, I was always going through, I went through college for art. And I learned how to, draw and paint and these things, but no one told me how to sustainably live my life.
Yeah.
So having more of a mentorship role, I'm able to not only teach them how to do these skills that could be really great coping skills for them, especially a lot of them have gone through crazy things, and being able to teach them to take care of themselves. It
Hmm.
was so amazing, the team that I led, especially this past year. I did an identity project with them. I've done it the past 2 years that I've taught, but working through different aspects of their identity and then putting it together in a work of art, and
Hmm.
having those conversations about where they are now and where they want to be and kind of what's in the way of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
um those projects made such an impact on our team, and with that we also made a 2,700 square foot mural in downtown Toledo in a crazy short amount of
Wow.
time. And all of these things, but like, I was able to mentor them and show them these different aspects and how to work as a team, and how, how to do these things in a healthy way.
Hmm.
And that is something that I want to hold on to as I move forward in my career as an artist, is mentorship and as leadership, and teaching people how to be better, sustainable leaders who think about the people who may not be your prime leader type person.
Right.
I was not the prime leader type person.
Right.
And I wasn't given opportunities because I wasn't that like perfect mold of a leader. I really had to work and show that I was doing these things. And I want to be able to help those people who like are super introverted, who have no
Hmm.
idea how they're going to be able to, tell somebody else how to do something, show them how to
Yeah.
do that. So yeah, a long answer, but my hope is to help give other people the skills that they need to kind of continue making impacts towards other people.
Love that. That's awesome. Because
Yeah, that's why
it's
I was really
leadership.
excited with the work that the Rising Phoenix Awards are doing, because
Yeah.
I love kind of connecting with other people like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you get these leaders, the people who have been through all of this really challenging stuff, and then they've been transformed and they're doing what they're doing very intentionally. There's a real
Mhm.
purpose behind what they're doing. If you get a
Yeah.
bunch of those people connecting, some really cool shit can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why it makes me so excited to kind of work with some of those people, especially because I was in that program. And I may not be with this program forever, especially as I'll be, moving out of the area. But I'm hoping to, if I can't find something that's within that same realm, I'm hoping to, in a perfect world, create something similar, where
Mm,
I can help build up leaders or teachers, or, help create sustainable people who are not, in the mode of burnout all the time, just for the
yeah.
sake of, doing the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope this is helpful for you because, right, like I said, we've already given out 99 of these. We're
Yeah.
probably another 14 or 15 this year. And about a third of them are from Detroit. So there's a
Oh,
lot of people who you can connect with through this
yeah.
program that are going to be where you're going.
That's awesome.
Yeah. 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 All right. Well, let's do this. Let's end with one last question, if you don't mind.
Yep.
So, thank you for everything you've shared. This is just beautiful. You're doing
Yeah.
really good things, and the impact you're going to have on people in the future, or you are having, is just fabulous.
Thank
So
you.
you're sitting here at I'm not going to say your age. You're sitting here where you are right now. You've
Yes.
got the benefit of all this learning, right? The knowledge you've accumulated, the experiences, all of these, and the connections. So you're sitting here and you can look back on your life. You've got the rearview mirror now. Right now,
Yeah.
if you could go back and you could talk to, you've been in pain since you were 5.
Yeah.
If you could talk to 5-year-old Amanda and give her just some words of encouragement about the future, what would you tell her?
I think that I would tell my younger self that, like, I'm going to make it someday as an artist. Cause I think that I was so excited to, like, me coloring and coloring books and stuff.
Mhm.
I very vividly remember, I had to have been probably around the same age. And I colored inside the lines for the first time. I remember my brother, Ryan, saying, "You're going to be such a great artist someday." And he had no idea what I would grow up to want to do. But that has always stuck out to me, because that's what I wanted to do. And so many people kept telling me that, like, you got to find a real job and you have
Mhm.
to, like, do all these things, even at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old.
Right.
And that kind of changed some of the trajectory of some of the things that I had first gone into in college. But I think that I would remind myself that, like, everything's going to work out. And obviously, I'm still young. Like, I don't know what the rest of my life is going to look like, but I'm pursuing the thing that I have loved my entire life. And I'm
Yeah.
also helping, like, lead people in that. And I think that, like, my younger self would love to know that, like, and she'll have no idea, like, the things that I've lived through, but, like, just knowing that I'm going to get to do the thing that I love to do, no matter what the circumstances surrounding it. I
Yeah.
think that would be really important for her to know.
Absolutely. And you're right. It's going to be okay. Everything's
Yeah.
going to work out. Yeah.
Yep.
Amanda, have you ever read it's called a book called The Power of Now?
No, I haven't.
No, I don't know. I don't know if you're much of a book person, but uh,
Yeah.
Eckhart Tolle,
Okay.
if you're not familiar with him, Tolle, he wrote a couple of books. One's called The Power of Now, and one's
Okay.
called A New Earth. And the reason I
Okay.
bring up The Power of Now is he talks about the fact that people get so tripped out about where they're going and what's in the future. And they get so hung up on the things that have been in the past. And they're all hung up, they're all caught up in the things that have held them back or hurt them in the past, that you completely lose sight of the fact that the only moment you can really be alive is right now.
Yeah.
And being worried about where you're going to end up isn't, you're missing the point, because you don't have to know where you're going to end up. You have to know where you're at and be fully present. And then you have to decide what you want to do next, and hopefully have a vision for your future. But
Yeah.
don't get too hung up on that, man. Just follow your heart. And that's a big part of the message I just heard from you.
Yeah. It's a very, very recent development for me, probably within the past month or so, that I've realized that I just have to like, you can't worry about all of the things all of the time, because then it's so debilitating and
Yeah.
paralyzing that, like, then you can't do anything. And
Yeah.
so, the anxiety brain kind of gets in the way a lot. But definitely probably within the past month or so, I've been able to be like, okay, like, this is where I'm at. These are the things that I have to do, and then, take it one step at a time. So I'm very thankful to have finally started to get to some of those positions. But yeah, I
No.
think that's been some of the most helpful things for me recently.